Hello and welcome to one and all for this webinar series dedicated to the discussions about mountaineering after lockdown, hosted by Akhil Maharashtra Giryarohan Mahasangh. For today's talk, we have with us a legendary climber who pioneered the alpine style lightweight climbing back in mid 70s and is a former president of the Alpine Club and an honorary fellow at the University of Columbia. Please welcome Mr. John Porter. He climbed as a teenager in the White Mountains of New Hampshire before serving his mountain apprenticeship in the Rockies and the Yosemite. There are many pioneering lightweight ascents such as Tatra, northeast face of Bandaka, and the south buttress of Changabanga on his name. The west ridge of Everest in winter and the northwest ridge of K2 were also attempted by him with the alpine style. He has authored the widely acclaimed biography of the legendary alpine climber Alex McIntyre, namely One Day as a Tiger. I'm sure you must be curious, so let's listen to this legend, Mr. John Porter.
Hello, my name is John Porter. I was the recent president of the Alpine Club. Last July, it was a great honor to be invited as a guest to the 18th Giriratra Sammelian in Mumbai. I was very impressed by the organization and the content of the event, the coming together of so many great climbing clubs whose scope of activities, beyond just climbing and trekking, is something that we here in the UK can learn from. It was clear to me that your passion for the hills extends to an appreciation that the communities living in the Ghats and the mountains appreciate your help in business, but most of all, your respect. I became aware during my visit of the work of the Mountain Institute in Pune, which provides an excellent center for young people wanting to learn the skills needed to truly appreciate the mountains. And those skills are technical and physical, as well as social and environmental. That all seems to me to be part of the spirit of mountain sports in Maharashtra. And now, just 11 months later, the world is a very different place. The insidious and contagious nature of the virus that causes COVID-19 makes it both unpredictable and frightening. This is especially true for people living in isolated communities that have not been exposed to the virus. The way we behave in future when visiting these communities and the mountains we love will need to change, not just because of the current crisis, but also because psychologically we understand the need for increased diligence to protect both ourselves and our mountain communities. The way we climb, even with our best friends, may need to be moderated. To define the new ways to behave requires all true lovers of the mountains to talk about the issues and then to agree good practice and behavior. I am not a medical expert, so my first thought is that common sense and caution are first and foremost in our minds, and that we be guided by our nature to think about the impact on others. Climbers and trekkers know how to assess and manage risks that they can see, but when it comes to a virus we cannot see, we must use facts and medical advice as well as common sense. The experienced climbers, trekkers, environmentalists, medical practitioners, and social scientists in all your clubs over there will help you to set standards appropriate for your circumstances. But let me say a little about what's happening here in the United Kingdom. We are now allowed to return to the hills in England to walk and climb, but not yet in Wales or Scotland. So be aware of regional concerns and restrictions in your own areas. The key message to climbers and trekkers is to be cautious in your actions, respectful of local communities, and extremely vigilant in avoiding transmitting the virus. Here in England, unless you are a family member or living in groups who have been together for some time without being affected, you are expected to stay 2 meters apart. Now that's called social distancing. If you enjoy hugging your friends as I do when you're out climbing, it seems a bit more like antisocial distancing. But hey ho, we all understand that keeping a distance greatly reduces the threat of transferring the virus through close contact. At the moment, here in England, no camping is allowed overnight. Those ignoring the rule and get caught are facing £1,000 fines. That's nearly 10,000 rupees. When rock climbing, to maintain social distancing and clean hands, it's much more problematic. We all use the same gear and the same handholds, so unless you are part of the same household, it might be safer to wait until either the virus goes away or we are all vaccinated. But if you have to climb, climb with those who you know are unlikely to have been exposed to the virus. Avoid crowded areas and climb well within your ability. Local medical centres will not be happy to see injured climbers and trekkers appearing when they have so much else to deal with. Not just the virus, but perhaps medical cases that have been postponed. Remember that the further easing of the lockdown depends on a strong collective sense of social responsibility. So if you're heading outside, please ensure your actions don't have a negative impact or unintended circumstances on others. Be sensitive when in rural and farming communities. Give houses, farm buildings, vehicles, and people a wide berth. Although some places may be open to serve food and drinks, you may want to be self-reliant and bring your own picnics. That may not help local businesses. So if you are planning to use local facilities, ensure strict sanitation practices are followed. Sanitizing surfaces and any utensils and plates, perhaps more for the local shop and cafe owners' protection than your own. The organisations in the UK who set international standards, the Mount Everest Foundation, the Alpine Club and the British Mountaineering Council, ask that those climbing outside the UK should only climb in areas where the authorities, the local authorities, using the best and latest medical advice, have declared that there is no longer a threat of infection there, and also that all the necessary insurance is in place. That may apply to you in India if you're applying to climb in other countries. I'm not sure how it might apply in the regions, between different regions in India. Finally, think about some individual actions you might take. If you are planning to trek or climb in an area declared free of the virus, consider these actions. First, take a test to see if you're infected 2 weeks before you travel. If you are, well, clearly you can't go. But if not, stay clear of any place or activity in the following 2 weeks where you might come into contact with the virus. If traveling by public transport to the location, ensure you take every precaution, like washing at every opportunity and using liquid sanitizer on all surfaces and seats. Additional sanitizer should be taken on the trek or when climbing for use entering villages and locations, perhaps mainly to reassure local people that you are taking the right precautions and that you are unlikely to be bringing the virus with you. And that means you may already have been tested negative and have a certificate to prove it, but they don't know that. Use face masks also in the communities. Just keep to social distancing wherever possible as well. This advice is of necessity pretty draconian, and it hurts for a climber like myself to realize these restrictions. But it's so far from the freedom of the hills that we just have to get used to the fact that these are all measures that we must follow for the time being. What we can do, we should do to protect people in rural and mountain communities. And that goes for ourselves as well. So I'm not sure if anything I've said is anything new. I doubt it. But as I speak to you, I am thinking of all my old climbing friends in Maharashtra and also the many new friends I made during my visit last year. Stay well, take care, and always remember that we are only visitors to the mountains, and it is up to us to travel with an unseen touch. Many thanks, and I hope to see you all again one day soon.